Good Friday evening. Welcome to WDRB Weather Live, where we're going to be discussing severe weather potential. And this is one that's interesting for early next week because this started off on the week Tuesday. Storms Prediction Center put us in a severe risk. Wednesday, they removed us from the severe risk. Thursday, they put us back in the severe weather risk. And Friday, they took Louisville out of the severe weather risk, which is
Are you
today.
confused yet?
I am. Um, I don't know what's happening. Everything that we used to do and we should do and the let it ride idea and don't make any drastic changes, it just feels like has been thrown out the window. But and instead of just kind of leaving things and trying to get the message out, now we have these different significant parameters. Yesterday we had a significant tornado. It was in EF4 in Enid, Oklahoma.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
caused an uproar because that was only in the significant one threat. And you're
Really?
like, well, why should an EF4 tornado occur? And if it's not, then the SIG 3, the high one, where now we're hearing people say that if you're not in the high significant threat level, that you feel a sense of security that it's not
Yeah.
going to be a bad tornado. And there's been a lot of confusion, unfortunately, from coming out of SPC lately. It's been frustrating, but we're here because there is a severe weather risk on Monday, regardless of what SPC says. There is a severe weather risk, and I think it's fair to say both of us think we'll see some severe weather in the area.
I don't see a way out of the scenario where we don't get some warnings simply because we've seen consistency now that we get storms at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
The when is really the big question mark right now. But we are going to see storms late Monday, more so Monday night. And there's enough wind energy and there is now some fuel that we're going to get some warnings. Just how
We're gonna
many,
get some warnings.
that's really what's, yet to be determined.
And there's the devil's in the details. What we can paint is the broad picture.
Mm-hmm.
We told you guys a couple of days ago when we did our video midweek that if we felt a little more confident, we would do one on Friday. We do. We're doing the video here. So before we jump into that, we've got 300 people in here right now. If you have, let's say, 100 people following you, I suspect that some of them might be interested about whether we could see severe weather on Monday, whether it would be damaging winds, whether it would be tornadoes, whether it would be hail. And the way that you invite them into the conversation, into the discussion, is by clicking share. Now, I know you're like, well, Mark, my friends and family are out right now. They're eating dinner. They're not going to be home until 10. The video's done. True. But by sharing it, they can just go to whatever spot they want. Makes it easy.
You can kind of pluck the information that you're looking for. And Gina's already saying so thankful for the rain that we saw today.
I know. I feel bad because it canceled the glow and it affected Chow Wagon. But we need this rain so badly.
I know.
And there are areas that did well. I will say I've been missed a lot by this at my house. But if you're in southern Indiana or if you're like Oldham County and Northeast, you've done really well.
Right. As opposed to the South, if you're talking E-Town, along the parkways, Cumberland, Bluegrass, you saw some, but not as much rain as we saw north.
So what we're going to do here as we go through this video, if you're new to our videos, this is more long form. Rick, what we do on TV is direct to the point, 4 minutes, tell you the forecast, tell you the forecast, tell you the forecast. And this is a different space. In our streaming, what we like to do is we like to kind of give a little more behind the scenes, like a little more why. Is there a severe weather threat on Monday? Yes. Some may be like, okay, click, I'm moving on. Some may be like, Mark, can you explain a little bit of the scenarios? And so that's what we're going to be able to do in here. We're going to move through the scenarios for Monday night. We're going to talk about if it's earlier or later. What does that mean? Could that affect the threats? And that's what I think some people really like about these videos is we go into the more.
Yeah, and it's you just can't look at it the same as TV. If you think it's going to be a 3-minute get your forecast and go kind of scenario, it's not. This is sort of, whether there's a camera here or not, a lot of this is what we actually do and go through to put the forecast together. So you can actually see what it takes for us to determine, are we going to see severe, what's supporting that? And the number one question is why. It's always why. And so if we can give you an answer to that, then you have more confidence and understanding, knowing what's coming your way. And like you said, we got rain, wasn't severe, had some stronger storms tonight, but Monday night is the next threat that we have to watch very carefully here.
So let's jump into this. If you guys do love the long form, you do love the lives, you put us thumbs up, some hearts across the screen, let us know. By the way, before I jump into this fully, what's your total right now, Rick?
Oh, on Facebook?
I might need a little help here. What's your total right now?
Checking.
Rick is trying for a milestone before. I'm going to say we want it before. He's going to try for the milestone before Derby.
Okay, I see he's getting the price. It's 929 128. So I need about.
He needs about 800 people just to
800.
head over to his page to give him a quick follow so that he can get to 30,000. So if you're in here right now and you don't follow Rick DeLuca, head over there. We want to try to get him to 30. It'd be a cool thing. Rick, when we go through severe weather, we call it the severe weather ingredients. You and I attack this a little differently. I'm going to attack instability because I'll come back to it later. What does instability even mean? Great question. Instability is fuel. So I'm going to use the reference point of a car. Your car. How do you make it go? Step on the gas. Simple. Easy question. On to the next. Okay, fair enough. When you step on the gas, what happens? You know, the gas goes into the engine. The spark plugs light the gas. It moves along. It starts going. Now you're like, Mark, I have an electric car. The batteries make it go. Fair. But you just said it. The batteries or the gas make it go. You got to have something in the tank. You don't have something in the tank. Let's just say you have a Tesla Plaid. We're going to go the electric route tonight. The Tesla Plaid or the Corvette ZR1X. These are electric, fast cars. Let's say you've run the battery down to 0. What happens with the fast car? It doesn't move. Instability is fuel for thunderstorms. You can have all of the power in the world, but if you don't put any good fuel, which is generated by temperatures, warmth, and high dew points, you don't get thunderstorms. So this is a key component to this. We need to have fuel in the tank. We're going to check whether that's good fuel or bad fuel. But Rick, there also has to be an engine under the hood or the fuel's useless.
Right, and I'm going to stick to that theme. The engine is the wind energy, and that's very important that we meet a minimum criteria, which we use here in our office, 40 miles per hour. So if you can't have winds greater than 40 miles per hour, then you really can't allow these storms to be organized and sustained. So when we talk about severe weather, we like to look at winds 40 miles per hour or greater, about a mile above the ground. Now, we're looking at, April, which is typically notorious for rain, for storms, and for having wind energy. But this April has kind of defied all odds. I mean, this is
the weirdest one I've ever seen.
Right? Like we have, I think it was 52.4% of the country is in drought. And
there hasn't been a lack of severe, to be honest.
There's been severe north of us.
And west of us. It just hasn't been here.
It hasn't been here. So we've just...
And even Alabama, one of the really hot spots in the country, they have been almost void of severe any rain, like you said. It's been a crazy April.
It's been a bizarre April. Drought's gotten worse. We haven't seen much, if any, rainfall, which this tends to be one of our rainiest months. So
the Ohio River had a car. It left a car on the Great Lawn last April.
There's a little bit of flooding last year, right?
Little bit.
April,
it always rains, and this year you can't buy it. Although tonight, I mean, we got some rain.
Right, but
nice.
I was is this real? Is there actually rain coming down from the sky? I mean, it was a bizarre feeling, and for those who suffer from allergies, it's nice to see a little cleansing rainfall. I think they're saying your mic's maybe not as high.
I'm checking to see the audio levels. Let me see if I raise this up a little bit and see if this helps.
I promise I'm not yelling.
Yours is indeed louder. I'm going to see if we can get Sean later to check the levels here. Okay. Because yours, let me just see. We have the audio.
Joe Butler, thanks for the heads up on
it. Yours is actually technically a little louder. So once the video's done, I'm just going to text Sean real quick and just let him know. So we have, obviously we work at a TV station. So one of the nice things, because we work at a TV station, is that we have production folks that can come in and help us. And I'm just going to tell them my mic sounds a little quiet.
I can just lower my voice.
But then I have to talk a little louder. So they'll come over and they'll take a look at that, and hopefully we can get those levels even for you. But thank you for telling us about that. Lastly, one thing we look for is forcing, and this one's pretty simple. Severe thunderstorm. You need a thunderstorm to have severe thunderstorms. So we're going to look at all of these elements and put this together. Somebody just jumped in and said, when are we talking about? We're talking about Monday. So Monday night. Let's now work through this. So I have kind of come to the realization that when we show these risks, maybe it's better just to tell people to not focus on the line. I don't like what SPC is doing and jiggling this back and forth. Now, to them, if this is west of Louisville versus one county east of Louisville, maybe they don't care. Maybe they're like, it's just a county difference. It's the same area. But I'm just going to say, You have 1 million people in the Metro Louisville area that you've told are in severe weather, not in severe weather, in severe weather, not in severe weather. And I think that we should understand where our population centers are and not really yank that back and forth like that.
I wonder if that actually is on the map when they're drawing to see,
I don't know
who they're kind of highlighting here. But like you said,
Sean's here. Sean,
thank you,
people
Sean.
are saying that it's just a little bit quieter. So I'm going to have Rick talk for a second and then me. So this is my mic level, Sean, talking in a normal voice. And here's Mr. DeLuca.
Hey, I am not yelling. I promise. This is my talking voice. I'm talking. And
I'm talking right now as well. I'm not talking over you, Rick, but I'm talking independently. So anyway, Sean's here now. Sean's hopefully going to get the audio levels adjusted a little bit. But Rick, to this idea, the orange is what we would refer to as a 30% probability. Some are like, well, what does that equate to? Slight, enhanced, moderate, high. They don't do that actually at this range. Once we get into day 4, this is only and strictly a probabilistic.
Right. And then once we get day 3 and into the event is when we start to see them break it down into those categories. The 4 that we talk about, the one that we usually don't.
And I would say that what's ultimately going to end up happening is that the slight is going to go past Louisville. I can't see a way that it doesn't when this is all said and done. So I think that's the way it's going to work. Sean, you can come over here and look at the audio levels. And I mean, you don't have to come in front of the camera, but see them right in the middle with an audio mixer level. So you can see this is me talking at a normal level, Sean, and then Mr. DeLuca.
This is me talking. I'm honestly looking at this map.
His may be pegging just a little higher. Maybe bring his down just a pinch. Again, well, I'm going to bring Sean in here afterwards because everybody needs to know Sean's just going to be like this invisible person.
He saves us all the time.
He does. When the camera's in the wrong spot, Sean's here.
And then, I text him frantically and he shows up calm, collected, and cool.
Come on over here, Sean. Just say hi to everybody. Here's Sean.
Come on, buddy.
Sean, come into the middle. Stay in the middle.
Join us.
Hello.
Sean is Sean. You are in our stream here tonight. You are our production man. This is your phone sitting here. Oh, Sean's girlfriend's on the phone.
You're on the stream.
Everybody say hi to Sean's girlfriend.
She hung up.
She turned the camera
She
off.
hung up.
She kicked you.
Oh, man.
All right, we just got Sean in trouble. Leave. You're out of here. Thanks. Sorry.
Thanks, bro.
We appreciate helping on the audio. Let us know if the audio is better now, as Sean helped out a little bit on that. But Rick, to this point, we know that they're at least saying, whether it's enhanced light, whatever it happens to be, that there is a notably higher probability. That's basically double the probability in Western Kentucky, Western Indiana.
What surprises me is that the amount of real estate covered by the 30 is
huge.
Way more
it's big.
than the 50. I mean, there's just kind of like a little sliver. Yesterday, it looked like almost like a sunny side up egg where you had the yolk and then a big white.
Yeah.
Now it's like a huge area where 30% is likely, which, again, we're still talking about 4 days out, and they're feeling pretty confident that severe weather is going to happen in that zone. So I
think he's on. I think their 30% is right. I think their 15's wrong.
Needs to be wider.
But looking at the data, where it's peak heating, there's some real problems. There's some real problems in this one. But we've got rain out there right now. It's disproportionate. You're getting okay rain right now in North Vernon. You did well. Madison, Republican, Warsaw, Carrollton, Bedford, you've all done really well. And Rick, I mean, I'm glad to see this. Metro Louisville's filling in a little bit. Look, I'm not going to say that I want it to rain on the Derby Festival events because I don't. But I just want to speak to the idea that we need this. And I would be disingenuous if I said I'm not happy to see this on the map.
It just, at the same time, the number of events going on, it's not just the fact that we have the glow. There are prompts tonight.
I know.
And I saw some out there today. It's like you want to take pictures, you want to capture the moment. Unfortunately, rainfall is impacting some of that, some of the high school events that you had mentioned. So I know there's no perfect time to get this rain, especially when it's Friday and you want to get your weekend started. But like Mark alluded to, this is rainfall that is going to help. We needed this drink of water.
And one thing I will say, Rick, number one, a lot of people are thanking Sean.
Yeah,
because have you noticed that they're saying the audio is a lot better now?
They are. Sean did it.
Sean,
he's a wizard.
He is the wizard. And one of the things I'm going to say about this is you guys see everything that we do, and on our weather team you see 5 people. What it takes to put together what we do is huge, and I really mean that. Like when we're doing severe weather, It's Rick and I, and let's just say a traditional evening where Rick and I are covering. Rick and I, we're in front of camera. We've got a person behind a camera. We've got audio / technical director / they kind of do a lot of things. We have a director in there. A lot of times we'll have a producer. We'll have a newsroom full of people. We'll have reporters out there in the field. And what we're doing is we're just talking about what's occurring and trying to help. But, the people behind the scenes of what we do don't always get the credit, but
No.
we can't do it without them. I say this, like you just saw Sean came in here and made the product better that easy. So, I mean, these guys are great.
If I went over there and tried it, I would have broke something.
There literally would have been a fire in there.
Thanks.
There would have been a fire in there and a flood at the same time.
Wonderful. Yeah. Just, fire and ice, baby. So we can't do it without them, and we appreciate it. And you know what? I appreciate people in here giving them the credit they need, because cool. Honestly, it's cool. And without them, we couldn't do this. So, and this applies to not this new station, but all of them. But the fact of the matter is, when we go out to dinner, they're our friends. We eat with them. We hang out with them. So, it's definitely a team spirit, and we all like to work together. And we didn't go out for dinner tonight because we were watching these storms, Mark.
I got the chow wagon last night. I did go to the chow. Look,
I'm not going to, don't get me started.
I'm just going to say the price was a little bit higher than I had anticipated by probably 100%, but it was good.
Yeah.
And, there was a part of me, it's like,
was party
let's support.
Did you eat every last bite?
I did. I think I scraped it.
Did you eat the silverware too?
I ate the silverware and the napkin because I paid so much. I wanted to make sure I got my value. Looking around the area in Louisville right now, I think you get it. It's humid out there. We've got a high dew point. We're at 65 on the temperature. And a lot of people are seeing rain right now. E-Town, you can see the roads are wet. 64 with a dew point sitting at 61. Corden, you've seen some rain. And Rick, welcome back.
Corden. We missed you, Corden.
We missed you. You were gone for a while. We had some issues. So do you know what the story here is?
Wasn't there flooding in the building?
There was flooding that damaged the electric system. So then they had to repair that. In that process of doing that, they found out that there was lead in the paint. So then the room had to be cordoned off so that they could effectively clean it. That's what took so long to get the Corden camera back online. But it is back online, and we're glad to have you and show what's going on in Corden.
Kara also said, Rick, don't yawn. Can't fix that behind the scenes.
I will call him if I perceive a yawn occurring. I have not perceived it tonight, and I did do a false call out on the last one. It was not an accurate call out, but nonetheless, I was not afraid. Rick, when we talk about severe weather, warmth is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not warm in our area right now, and the region is not ultra warm, but I think it's still important to note there's nothing out there that's cold in the region. You get a storm, you put southerly flow on that. It's 89 degrees in Dallas. 80s will roar into the Midwest.
It's not going to take much. I mean, we've seen it's been really warm.
We were 84 today again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the higher sun angle this time of year can go to work.
Really does.
Really does. We get the warmth back in here pretty easily. It's the question of, can we get the warmth and the dew points? That's really been the catch so far this year, is that while we got a little warm, we didn't see the dew points rise to a threshold.
But there they are.
And that's what's going to make this one a little different.
I think that's a big deal here. Shreveport dew point 70. It's not sitting in the Gulf. Traditionally in the Ohio Valley, when you go through a period where you don't have regular fronts, you can pool moisture and eventually pay a price. This is very common in the OV. The fact that our moisture return is sitting in Shreveport means one day of southerly flow puts a dew point of 70 in our area. And this means now we're talking game changer, because this should generate fuel. The other part of this, and Rick and I talked about this in the last video a couple days ago, but look at how cold it is. This low is sitting there. It's not moving. So that cold near Baker Lake is starting to back down through Yellowknife, back down through Edmonton, back down through Calgary, now into Billings and into Rapid City. And it is interesting. If you look at the data, some of the data shows some frost potential next weekend, which speaks to the idea that it's going to get a lot colder in the extended, but it also speaks to the idea that the front that comes through on Monday is going to be a game changer.
Right.
Front Monday night into Tuesday, I guess, would be more accurate to say.
Or at least the start. That's like installment number one. It's going to be, we're going to see phases and installments of cooler air moving through Derby week, which once again, depending on your perception and what you prefer in terms of weather, It's gonna not be in the 80s is a real clear way to state it. But how cool exactly do we get? I mean, you can see that low pressure,
Isn't it
is
cool
just
looking?
collect. It's so cool.
And it hasn't moved. That's the one where we did a video on Tuesday. We talked about a
The
type
Omega
of
block.
and look at that.
Yep, and
You
there it
see
is.
It's so, I mean, weather is super cool. Like some of this stuff, like I remember doing the math of these blocks, but in an operational point, I want you to look at what you see on this map. And what I want you to do is take yourself back to college. And I want you to remember Greek letters. Who remembers the Greek letter omega? So if you go back to college, you're thinking about, okay, I kind of remember what a Greek letter omega looks like. Kind of goes up and over the top and then comes, oh, it literally looks like the Greek letter omega. So what this is important because this is block the weather pattern. Basically, you have a stop sign here. No storms can pass. They are stuck until they're not stuck. But this it normally has long-term sustainability. Right now, we're under the warmer part of this omega. It does look like we're going to get blocked into the colder part later next week. And in that transition, we need to now assess, as that low starts to kick, is it going to generate fuel? If it's peak heating, we got a real problem.
Yeah, we do.
Second, you've said this, but we have a floor for wind energy. And we need to look and see, is that floor met? So I'm going to start this off, Rick, and I'm going to go through the fuel portion of
Mind
this.
if I add one more thing to you for that one?
Pop back.
We did talk about this before, but also this is going to be the first test for a lot of the trees, which
That's a
now
fair
are
point.
full of leaves, and then you get to call them little mini parachutes, which I love the analogy. But there's more surface area that's going to
First time of the
be
year.
dragging, with these winds and the leaves. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on, and also take into account when it comes to the possibility of tree limbs coming down, power outages, and that sort of thing.
So, and I think it's a valid point again to just reiterate. 60-mile-an-hour winds with no leaves on the trees does not normally do a lot of damage here. In fact, we've seen 80-mile-an-hour winds with no leaves on the trees that didn't do as much damage as we would have expected. 60-mile-an-hour winds with trees in full foliage is going to do a lot more damage than it would have a month ago. And that's just the reality of this.
So this really hasn't been, tested yet. So this is going to be the first time we'll see, which trees are healthy out there.
So let me go over to the fuel portion of this now. And just a reference point, what's enough fuel to generate organized severe? In this particular case, you get, let me just think through where we are. I'm going to say if you have 800 units of instability, you're more than adequate for organized severe. So let's look. This is 8 p.m. on Monday. We really haven't defined the timeline, but that's part of what we're going to do. We'll tell you that we think it's overnight. Notice all those reds to the west, though. So this is a big deal. If this was, let's say, to get in here 6 hours earlier, those reds would be in our area, and we'd have a very serious problem. As it is, you'll notice after midnight, the fuel pops above 1,000. And I know what you're thinking is, Mark, this is the middle of the night. Why would the fuel come up? It's because this is a really strong storm with strong south and southwesterly flow, pushing higher dew points into our area. And even though it normally cools at night, it probably won't much. And in the compensation portion of that, those dew points are going to be rising through the night and pool ahead of this front. And that instability you see there after midnight is no question, absolutely not just adequate, but it is supportive of severe. I'm not going to say highly supportive, Rick, but I would definitely say 1,200 units with what we think we're going to have for fuel is easily enough to get the job done.
Right, and that's a good amount of CAPE and fuel for an overnight scenario too.
Very much.
That's this. We a lot of times QLCSs, quasi-linear convective systems, and that's
What?
I know it's
Broken lines of storms.
Thank you. It's a much simpler way of putting it. But that's most likely how this is going to
We
look
think so.
on radar Monday night. And that's, we typically get gusty winds, warnings kind of blanketed around the area. And then inside those sometimes we can get some spin ups. So that's something that, it's just logical, typical scenario. We see this unfold time and time again. So that's kind of what we're leaning toward.
And as you analyze the wind energy, you're going to be talking about there's two different types. There's wind energy that just stays the same direction as we go up in the atmosphere, a speed shear, unidirectional, doesn't support really much in terms of tornado action. If those winds change direction with height, they spin the storms and they would generate more tornado action. So let me give it to you, let you go through the wind energy.
All right. So this is the wind energy again, 850 millibars. What? That is a mile above the ground, about 5,000 feet. And we look at the winds up there because that's what the storms are working with. So if we looked at the winds at the surface, we don't have thunderstorms at the surface. You don't look out the window and see a storm. You look up, right? So we look in the environment. Now, this is Monday at 2 o'clock. We don't have storms during the day on Monday. Those storms don't get here until well after dark, which means what happens during the day is that it just gets a little bit breezy, it's warm, and turning humid. Now, this is at 9 p.m. Monday. We are looking at winds closer to 36 miles per hour. Again, 40 is our criteria. It's below that. But watch what happens around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. As those storms approach, they are working with winds of 56 miles per hour above the surface. So winds 50 plus definitely meets our minimum criteria of 40 and then some. Southwesterly winds, we talked about the two different types of wind energy, the speed shear, which is an increase in wind speed with height, but also this does have some turning. There is some directional shear involved as well. And while some of this instability may be elevated and only some of it could be surface based, if we get some instability at the surface and then we couple it with these winds, Mark, there's a really good probability that we're going to end up seeing severe thunderstorm warnings Monday night.
I'm a little uncomfortable right now, only because of the wind changing direction with height. We are seeing that in some of the soundings, some of the data that looks through the column on Monday. It's a little early for that data to be hyper accurate, but we're seeing in a lot of the data a pretty strong low. If the low is generally stronger, you're going to see winds changing direction with height. So this does introduce, if winds change direction with height, a barrier to overnight cooling. It allows the storms even to work in less cape, less instability. So we have now been able to at least define a couple of things. Right now, as it stands, it's not during the day on Friday. Monday. If that changes to the evening, we got a serious problem here.
We do.
We would see a lot of severe weather here.
Right, and that's why I'm trying to say the threshold, the level of severe depends on the timing right now, because we know we're going to have storms. It's just at what point do they arrive here? And the earlier they come in the day, the more, as we say, gas that will be in the tank. So if we can hold them off, there's still going to be gas in the tank regardless. It's not going to be one of those scenarios where we don't have any sort of fuel. We will have some level of gas, but are we a quarter full?
Right.
Are we halfway full? You know, that's really yet to be determined in terms of the timing, and that's all timing. Cannot emphasize that enough.
I just think it's interesting, though, that even looking at the data that shows it after midnight, which, as we noted, everything shows that right now, it's still showing 1,200 units of instability, which in this area, 1,200 is easy peasy, especially if there's any directional. So we look at the data at 5, and the reason why we say be more concerned if this was to speed up, it's 84. Monday's going to be warm. And Rick, this also shows, you showed the winds aloft. We've got the winds on here for you, so you'll be able to see the surface winds. What I find really interesting about this is, and I'm going to draw some arrows, is this is looking at 8 p.m. If you notice between 6 and 8, those winds went from due south and they started to back to the southeast. Now, why are they doing that? Because the low's intensifying. The term is actually isalobaric. So the winds are reacting to a pressure change and they're getting pulled more out of the east. You saw what Rick showed aloft. He showed the winds after midnight were west-southwest, and you can see the winds are south-southeast ahead of this. So there is a couple of things that bother us. We do see directional shear on Monday night. We see fuel. While it's not as high as it would be peak heating, we see fuel. Rick, you alluded to this. We're not 100% sure if it's all surface-based fuel or elevated right now. I believe some of it will be surface-based. Why does this matter? Surface-based allows threats to get to the ground. Things like wind. Wind can easily get to the ground if the fuel is based at the surface and not aloft. Tornadoes. Tornadoes can get to the ground when it's surface-based. When it's not surface-based, it's very difficult. And so these are things that we're going to have to determine as that front approaches. How much surface-based fuel do we have? But you can see the data shows a line, a broken line. And if you kind of look at this, we're not able to get into high-res data at this point. So it's unfortunate, but it is the timing. But if you look at these precipitation stripes, they have this line. what we refer to these as is supercell stripes. It means that there's likely some area of rotation within the line. That particular radar, while it, maybe to a non-meteorologist doesn't mean anything, but when we look at that, that's normally how the European model shows that there could be rotators in that line. So we're talking after midnight. You can see the line. If it's me, I'm going to draw the risk probably through Madison. I'm going to probably take it south to Frankfurt, and I would probably take it to around, I'm going to say Campbellsville, Columbia South. I think that this is going to be able to survive the night. I don't think that after sunset this is going to fall.
No, that strong wind is also going to keep temperatures up. And, I feel like these always go a little farther sometimes than computer
100%.
Models depict. And
faster.
And faster, you're right. So that basically you get that momentum and you get that inertia, and these storms can kind of do a little more than what computer models anticipate. And that's where the meteorology of it comes in, is understanding how these work and not just kind of plucking what you see and just regurgitating it. It's understanding how the weaknesses and also the strengths of some of these models. So there's the risk. We're not alone in this one.
No, it covers a lot of areas. I mean, if you're in southern Illinois, going towards Perryville, Missouri, St. Louis, it goes north towards Decatur, Illinois. Includes some big cities like Chicago in the 15%, Evansville, Indy's in the 15, Louisville's on the verge of it, Nashville's on the verge, Memphis is in there, Little Rock's in there. A lot of big areas that are going to be affected. Yeah, so St. Louis is right in the core too. I mean, it's, you go west of our area, it's been quite the severe weather season. The oddity of this season is normally severe weather in when you go like March comes through Alabama, Mississippi, we call it the Dixie. And then it normally turns into the southern Great Plains. And once it hits the southern Great Plains, it normally expands into our area. And then it goes into the northern plains and then into the upper Ohio Valley. But in our area, it has not. Part of that is the fact that we've had drought, and it has pushed the jet stream a little bit further north than what we would normally see. So this is where we stand. Would we include our area in a slight risk as it stands now? I'm going to say for me, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for me, I put the slight and cover almost the entire area, if not the whole area. I'm going to say that, some are going to ask, is the higher probability possible? What's going to be interesting here, Rick, is SPC is going to have some decisions to make. Are they going to go the moderate anywhere on Monday? I think it's possible.
Yeah.
If they do, that could push the enhanced a little bit further east, and then the slight even further east than that. Where we ultimately end up, now's not the time to talk. I think that we're going to probably see at minimum an enhanced, but there is some reason to believe that a moderate may be needed in some parts of the Midwest. Our area, we need to prepare for overnight severe weather. Damaging winds could be very possible in this. I don't want to say very likely, only because we're still 4 days out, and I don't know if that's the right verbiage. I would say the probabilities based on what we see are pretty good for severe right now.
And even we have warnings sometimes. While you may go under a warning at your house, you don't see damage. But let's say 2 blocks over, your neighbor calls you and say, I got a big tree down in my front yard.
Exactly.
So that the essence of severe storms, and the one thing is, while you're under a warning, we hope that you don't see the damage, but there's certainly a possibility. And that's why sometimes you won't have any damage, but you can consider yourself lucky if you drive down the street and you're going out of your neighborhood and all of a sudden, you see shingles off a roof and some trees down. Like, okay, well, someone got damaged close by. Just be glad it wasn't you.
So let's move on from that. Damaging winds we feel are going to be the higher end threat, the highest of the threats for our area. Hail, tornado. We do see some spin with height, which can generate some hail. Normally in this scenario, unless this gets faster and gets here in the peak heating, the really large hail would probably not be as much of a concern, but some severe hail could occur. Again, not the upper level like baseballs or something like that. We do think that based on what we see now, tornado threat cannot be eliminated from this. The coming days will tell us how high that threat is. But I don't think that we're going to end up with a non-tornado threat out of this one.
Actually, I got a question that kind of coincides with this for you. Gwen's asking, will this be anything like they had in the Midwest, specifically Oklahoma?
Fair.
That one's fresh on the news.
You and I were looking at that one last night closely.
I had a weird feeling. It was a bad feeling in your stomach when you see that sort of strong tornado ripping through homes and throwing cars.
And I think it's worth a shout out to our colleagues. We obviously work at WDRB, but in the television industry, there's a lot of people that are working hard in every market across the country. We sampled and got to watch a few out of Oklahoma City in particular and how they were handling it. And the way that they were elevating the wording when they were using the word strong and violent as it was appropriate, not like as a punchline like you see on social media sometimes. You see outbreak used all the time. You hear everybody say, even if it's a tornado the size of a pencil, that it's violent. They were really appropriate for the situation, and I do really feel that their work was so good that I think it saved some lives yesterday. I really think so.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. And that's we should reserve that kind of language and that sort of tone for those times. Otherwise, if everyone's always screaming at the top of their lungs, this is going to be the worst thing ever.
But they used it as it was necessary.
Yeah,
and
respect to them.
It was a lot of hard work in there. So hopefully we've been able to at least paint the picture for Monday. What we'd ask you guys to do, if you do appreciate the Facebook Lives, thumbs up. You can throw some hearts across the screen. I'm going to watch that, see if you guys are following the rules. And then lastly, what we would ask is share the video. Even after the video ends, you can always share and get it out to more people. Let's see if we have any likes or thumbs up here. I'm not seeing. Oh, there they go. There we go. We got a bunch. And if you haven't followed Rick DeLuca, follow him. We're trying to get him to 30,000. And then what we always want to do with these videos, anytime we talk about severe in particular, we want to give you some question time. Yeah. Because I think that that's a big part of what we do here, is that we're going to help try to get to your specific question. So before we talk about questions, what we would ask is please don't troll. It's a big no-no. It'll get you either in timeout or booted. But let's open it up to some Q&A here. So I'm going to go up and see if I can find one. You said from Gwen, she asked, is it going to be anything like what they had in the Midwest? Angie Cooper's asking, Bardstown tomorrow, daughter's prom. Angie? I'm sorry to tell you this, but tomorrow looks fantastic. It's going to be wonderful weather for the prom. The morning has a couple of sprinkles. Do the pictures after midday. You'll get sun in the afternoon. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. So
sorry if he freaked you out.
By the way, tell her we said happy prom. We hope she has a great time. Send pics. Any other questions here?
Let's see. So
joining in late. Stephanie's asking about. I'm going to throw this one to you. Stephanie's asking the weather for Lou City tomorrow. So you will see some of us out at the Lou City game tomorrow. And what's the weather look like for that game?
It looks nice. The clouds during the morning won't stay all day. They will go away. The sunshine will come back out. Temperatures in the upper 70s.
Go.
And that's, it's going to cool down once that sun does set, but that's really not until around 8:30 or so, which means the game starts bright. You get to watch the sunset. I know. And then it will cool down a little bit, but there's no concerns in terms of weather. Just a really nice day.
Superb. Justin's in here. He says, I have the WWE and NFL calling me. He's joining us doing the multi, which is great that you can actually do this. Let's see. I'm going to answer this one. Ashley is saying this has me sick to my stomach. Last time spun up a tornado. So I'm just going to say this because I know that we do have a lot of people. Over the course of me doing this for so many years, I have had a lot of people that are on my pages that do feel weather anxiety. And what I'm going to tell you is, and I'll speak to every one of you, you can't control the weather. I can't control it. Rick can't control it. What can you control? Preparation. I have been doing this for a really long time. I've chased some of the worst tornadoes the U.S. has seen. I was a quarter mile away from an EF5 that carved a mile path through Moore, Oklahoma in 1999. We measured 318 mile-an-hour winds that day. That tornado killed 43 people, which are like, Mark, you're not helping my anxiety. Here's the interesting thing. In that tornado, nobody under the age of 18 died. 318 mile-an-hour wind, slabbed homes, nobody under the age of 18 died. Why am I telling you the story? Because I'm going to tell you, I saw this in Henryville in 2012, that when you do the right thing, when there's severe weather, your chances of survival are really high, even in the worst of the worst of the worst. So control what you can. Don't let weather anxiety control you. It doesn't have to. Think about, I'm going to make sure that I have my plan in place. I'm going to know what I do if a warning is issued. I'm going to follow Mark and Rick, and we'll get through the storms together. We do this. We've done this for years. We're going to do this again if we have to stay up late with you on Monday night. But don't let that fear and that anxiety make you crazy. I have seen in even the worst of the worst of the worst that making good choices really does have an effect on things. And there are a lot of people that feel that anxiety. But I'm here to tell you that when you make good choices, you don't have to feel that way.
Right. Be prepared. Don't panic. It works every time. Adriana saying her daughter's birthday party is tomorrow.
Happy birthday!
At 6. Any bad weather? No, it's going to be the opposite of bad. It's going to be great. Great weather for your daughter's birthday. Tell her we said happy birthday from the WDRB weather team. We got her back. It'll be sunny, some clouds dotting the sky for decoration, and then temperatures hanging out in the upper 70s. And it's going to be a good day. Happy birthday. Who else we got?
Let's see here. There's a lot of birthdays apparently. Virginia says Monday is my birthday, so happy early birthday to you. And the day's gonna be fine. Do your dinner quickly. Don't wait until 10 o'clock at night, which I doubt you will. But yeah, somebody's asking about the weather. I'm gonna throw this one to you, Rick. Somebody's saying the parade. I heard there is a small parade for the Derby Festival on Sunday. That one looks pretty good.
I know. We've talked about the change of the parade being, during, I think it was Thursday they used to have it.
It was on Thursday. Right? I hated when they changed it at first, I'll be clear, but
I think, you hate change sometimes.
That's what I think it was all about.
Yeah, I'm the same way, though. I don't like change. I was like, come on, because now you got to rewire your brain, and it's like, okay, well.
But now that I think about it.
It makes sense.
Why compete with Churchill Downs? Why not have it to yourself?
Well, not only that, but people are for work.
It's fair. Again, yes.
Like
kids.
Yeah, if you're running around during the week and it's a Thursday, trust me, by Thursday you barely have any energy left. You're just trying to get through the week. So to go to a parade and then have to go to work Friday, and then just get to the weekend, that's a tremendous amount of energy. Doing it on Sunday, it's just really enjoyable because you don't have to rush around. You can go out, you can get your spot on Broadway, wherever you like to, set up to watch. Put your chairs out there. You can, grill a little bit, eat a little bit, chat a little bit.
The weather's going to be super good.
And the weather's going to be beautiful.
Super good.
Mostly sunny, upper 70s to around 80.
The only thing is you need to put a little bit of sunscreen on.
Maybe a lot of it.
Okay, a lot of sunscreen. Especially if your hair's kind of gotten a little bit thinner over the years.
My father says, better gray than going away.
Does he have a full head of hair still?
Yeah, yeah, he's still got it.
My dad's is thinner. I'm gonna just say a little my dad's story because he told me this the other day. It's like, Mark, it looks like it's getting a little bit thinner up there. I'm like, it's because it is getting a little bit thinner. He's like, I got an idea. Why don't you cut the hair in the front just a little bit longer and you could comb that back? I'm like, no, Dad. I'm like, no, I would rather shave my head than have the hair on my basic bangs in the back of my head, tucking it in back there. I was like, no, I'm not doing that, Dad.
Party in the front.
So here's a question coming in, and this was from Amanda and from YouTube Josh, asking is there bust potential, basically. If you're asking, is this set in stone? No. Is this storm going to go away? I don't think so. There's a lot of reason to believe it's not going to. What it means for our area versus west, there's certainly some potential there for things to tweak. But if you're asking me, can we get away with no severe whatsoever on Monday night? I think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
I think it's a stretch. I'm not saying it's impossible because we're 4 days out, and I still have to respect probabilistically what I do, and I've seen massive change in data. But this is not a storm that's coming from out of the U.S. It's a storm that's right along the U.S.-Canadian border that's going to start to get nudged. So I don't think there's a way completely out of this one. I don't. So somebody said shaved head Weinberg. This is a true. I have thought about if it got thin enough, would I ever shave it? The problem is my ears are too big. Look, I can admit this. I think they would look a little larger. And second, I got injured so many times when I was a kid. It's true. They would look huge. You got to admit it. They would.
We got to put this into some.
Am I wrong?
No, but I kind of want to. Now I'm curious. We can ask ChatGPT.
Oh, see what I would look like.
Yeah, see what you would look like without any hair.
That's an interesting one. But
I don't know if I wanted to. I would
know.
Yeah.
I've told you some of these stories. So I fell out of a tree when I was a kid. I got my ear caught in the tree and almost pulled it off. Had to get it sewed in the back, tightened up, get it buttoned back up back there. I don't know why, playing, somehow fell, smashed my head. I have cuts all over. I have
Oh, like
scars
scars,
everywhere.
Yeah. How many times have you had stitches, you think?
There was a period, I think my dad said and my mom said, within a year period, I think I was in the hospital 7 times for stitches. Yes. I mean, I
You were
fell
a
out of the
rambunctious kid.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. If there was like a hornet's nest, I would be the one that would be like, and then I wouldn't be able to run fast. And I was playing like softball with my sister. I just lobbed the ball. She hit the ball. You would think, we're young. It can't get hit that hard. And if it can, I'm pretty agile and docile. It comes right back, smashes me in the face, and broke my nose.
I remember that story. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I don't
Poor
know. I don't know if
parents.
the shaved head would work so well.
Yeah, it would show the childhood memories.
So Scott is asking Cape on Monday. So during the day, right now it's not that high. The problem is that the Cape to the west is probably gonna be north of 15. If this gets here faster, we got a bigger problem. At night, the data right now is showing north of 1,000. It's got about 1,200, which should be enough to get the job done. So somebody's asking if I knew anybody on the Twist X team. So the Twist X team, I assume what they're referring to is the group that passed away when the El Reno tornado occurred. I assume that's what you mean. If it's not, I don't know. But in the Chase community at the time, and especially since we were researching, everybody kind of knew everybody. Knew like in specific conversations, no. The people that I know that actively chase now, Reed and I went to college together. I was a senior when Reed was a freshman. We went to OU together. Some of his crew I know. I know the Doppler on Wheels crew, in particular Josh Warman, since I was a graduate assistant to him when I was in college. But Howard Bluestein is the one that does the X-band radars. I don't know if you heard, by the way, NCAR announced 3 more X-bands mobile.
Did they?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to
How
wonder.
many did they release now?
I don't know. Howie's the one that did the X band and Josh did the C band. For you, what that means is we're talking different wavelength. X band is going to give you really, really high resolution radar data on storm. Super helpful when you're trying to understand structure. The C band radar, let me before I go back, the X band radar gets attenuated more. So if you're trying to look farther away from the radar, the X band is not great. The X is superb when you're really close. C band is going to be really good for seeing farther away. That's what we use at the Weather Service offices. But C band is not going to have quite the same resolution. Howard Bluestein and Josh Warman are kind of the two that really pioneered the mobile Doppler radars. Howie's the one that does the X bands. Brilliant scientist. I was at OU when Howie was there and still is there. But Howie did the X bands, and now NCAR's announced 3 more. I think where this is going, by the way, I think they're trying to get more mobile Dopplers out there.
That would be awesome.
Here's my opinion. I think they're trying to get more of them out there so that they can use radars to enhance the EF scale. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Because we don't have enough of them now, and we might disproportionately rate tornadoes weaker than they really were because we don't have those. But with NCAR commissioning 3 more of them, we probably can get on more of these stronger tornadoes with them and get a better sense of the strength of tornadoes when we're only trying to do it on damage. And we've always had this problem is if it's an EF5 wind level and it hits a lake, it doesn't do any damage that we know it's an EF5. So it could bridge the gap. And we do sense certainly a motivation in the field to use more radar data to try to get the EF5 when it seems more appropriate.
And we're aware of the gaps when it comes to some of the radar sites. So having mobile units out there, I would say the more the merrier. I mean,
and I did this as my research, so I can tell you the value is monumental. We looked at the Dow data, remember yesterday during the Enid tornado. The resolution of what you can get when a radar is up close is mind-blowing. I mean, you can see the small structures, you can see the eye of it because there's no debris in the middle. It's being centrifuged outward. It's just remarkable stuff, but that's a video for a different day. Let's go. Any more questions here before we end our video here for the night? Here's a good one. I'm gonna put this to you, Rick. Somebody asking if drones are a way of the future to take readings. I have an opinion on this. I'll let you have yours.
I mean, to take readings, so drones can only handle so much wind.
That's my opinion.
So for me, I feel like they're valuable in surveying the damage after the fact. I'm not sure that they have the capability of doing it during the storm. That's. I
have nothing else to say.
No?
You nailed it. It's going to get sucked into the tornado and destroyed, and you're not measuring the tornado. You're now measuring the effects on the drone, which is not what we're trying to do.
So,
But it's a great question.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
cool.
everybody wonders
Thanks, Josh. We
where
appreciate that.
technology
Yeah.
goes. You know, Lions, Kentucky tomorrow and Monday. So Lions, Kentucky tomorrow. I don't think you have any real problems. I think the best chance of rain for tomorrow. We both kind of agree on this is far southern Kentucky, early half of the day. The day goes on, gets better as the day progresses. Sunday looks fantastic. Monday night we watch for severe. Let's do 2 more questions here, Mike. Mike is asking timeline
For Monday. I would say up until 2, you have nothing. But after 2, thunderstorms moving in. It does show it closer to 4, but being that range, I want to, kind of give you a better, a wider gap to kind of be prepared. But anytime after midnight, and then 3, 4 is when it looks most likely, and then getting out of here very early on Tuesday, which, yes, that does mean you may lose some sleep Monday night if you're going to stay up and watch these storms. It's kind of the unfortunate thing. This is what we do for a living, so we're not going to complain. But I know if you live a regular life and you get to go to work, very early Tuesday, it's going to be a groggy one. So you want to stock up on maybe some little coffee, some tea, whatever your source of energy may be.
You always know the day after. I mean, you've seen it too. We live in an area where overnight severe it happens a lot.
Yeah, it does.
And you can see there's a sluggish nature the day afterwards. I mean, there's fatigue. For what it's worth, we don't think that while we do have rain probabilities for other parts of Derby week, we think that Monday night's probably the best chance of severe for Derby week. So there's that.
Yeah. Look at this. Real creative minds. Please like the video.
Hey,
I love that.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. So like
and
the
that's
video.
one of our YouTubers.
Yep. And subscribe. Please subscribe. So the Real Creative Minds, thank you for, just allowing the likes to be put out there without us saying it.
And you can do it on YouTube. You can do it on Facebook, anywhere you want.
Right. But share this. If this content is something that someone will enjoy, make sure you let them know, because this is not the last time you're going to see us, with severe chances ramping up on Monday, with Derby week right around the corner, and storm chances and temperature changes. You'll be seeing a lot of us. And that's the whole beauty of this, is that for people maybe coming into town for Derby, let's say you're starting to see on your phone, you may have some app. I'm not going to name any app, but you may have an app, and you're looking at it and you're saying, well, this is saying this one day and then it's changing its mind. So you can share this with people coming into town for Derby and let them know that, hey, this is who I trust when it comes to weather here in Louisville. And that way, when they come into town for whether it be Derby, Oaks, or Derby, hopefully they will turn to us for the weather information, because that's what we're here for, to help everyone out as much as possible. And if you want to give them some advice and sound, like you're in the know of this, tell them they may want a jacket. Just a little teaser.
Just a little teaser. What we're going to be doing on WDRB News at 10, 11 is releasing, drum roll, the Thurby Oaks and Derby forecast.
That wasn't very good, sorry.
It wasn't very good, but it was pretty good, but it wasn't very good. But we think that there's some complexity in this. We do think, both of us, we've talked extensively on this. I don't think that these days are going to be warmer than normal. I think they're going to be colder, and they could be quite a bit colder. So, for a guy, look, we're wearing long sleeves. We have a suit coat on. We have long pants on. Sometimes there are years where we pay the price where we're sweating crazy. But this year, because it's going to be colder, we're going to be in the better, because the suit will be really helpful.
Yeah.
But, for a lady that's got a dress with that, maybe it's sleeveless. I mean, this is going to be a chilly day for that. And you've got to have a plan to stay warm behind the chilly dress.
Right. Warm, and maybe for some parts of it, that coat maybe has 2 purposes, not just to warm you up, but maybe waterproof. Not that I'm calling anything out right now, but that's a potential, the way things are looking right now. So yeah, I know fashion's a big thing, and everyone at this point, you probably picked out what you're going to wear.
Absolutely, 100%.
So it's
and it hurts. I mean, you've been to Derby. You spend some time choosing the way you're going to dress. I mean, even on TV, we've got for Oaks, we want to have a pink tie, obviously. But let's just say all of a sudden someone says you can't wear that today, you'd feel a little let down. I mean, you spent
Honestly,
some time.
I put this out today. I was like, should I wear this today, or should I save this for
I thought
Oaks?
that too.
Did you? I was like, I have another pink tie.
So we're going to introduce that forecast. I'll be on at 10. He'll be on at 11. We're going to spend some time now. It's 9:30. Head back into the studio, analyze data. We'll have a little bit more data to look at on the Monday night risk. We'll spend some time at 10 and 11 discussing that. If you guys are joining us in on the video, I'm going to say, please follow Rick's page. We're trying to get him to 30,000. We think you guys can get him there. If you're on our YouTube, please like and please subscribe to our page. We do these lives frequently. This is Rick's second live of the day, but we do
Yes.
these frequently when there's active things that could affect you. And it's a nice way if you're on the go or if you just want a little bit more information to get that. I'm Mark Weinberg. He is Rick DeLuca. I'll see you guys on WDRB News at 10. Rick will see you at 11. Remember, support us here. You can support us on